Good evening, welcome back. It is Wednesday, November 8th. Almost messed up on our day of the week again, getting confused here. Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. We got a few birthdays, couple of events to talk about. So we're going to go all the way back to 1987. Rusty Wallace wins at Riverside. This would be Rusty's fourth career win, his second of 1987, but this would be the last time that the Riverside track would host a second race during the NASCAR Cup Series season, as it would host its final race the following June in 1988. Kind of a side footnote of this race, Bill Elliott's team had a few crew members injured in a pit accident, which is, kind of eerie because a few years later he'd have that tragedy in Atlanta with the replacements of a couple of these guys. Let's go to 1992. The Busch Series race at Hickory. Bobby Labonte wins the race. Joe Nemechek wins the title by a scant 3 points. At the time, the closest point margin ever for the Busch Series, now Xfinity Series. 1998 in Atlanta, Jeff Gordon wins his 13th and final race of the season. He'd already clinched the Cup Series title. This race at Atlanta, I remember watching this. It literally felt like it was 12 or 13 hours for it to finish because they got it started raining, it's got it started again, started raining, and literally the race finished at like around midnight or so, 11 o'clock. It was very, very late in the night when they finished this race. Not much to say. Gordon won 13 out of 33 races that season. Very dominant season. Probably Kyle Larson has come the closest in terms of wins. Maybe Kevin Harvick, a couple others. Jimmy Johnson had a 10-win season. So you don't see seasons like that very often with that many wins. 2002, at Phoenix in the Truck Series race, Kevin Harvick wins his first career Truck Series race. And then in 2020 at Phoenix, Chase Elliott wins the race and the Cup Series championship. So, with that being said, we've got a few birthdays to celebrate today. Born on this day in 1961. Many of you probably never heard this name before, but if you go back and watch some old Winston West, Southwest Tour, and a few races of the Cup Series, maybe at Sonoma, Jim Inglebright. The car that you might remember him driving was always sponsored by Jelly Belly. Those little jelly beans that have 1,000 different flavors, but he was generally sponsored by them in many of the races that he ran on the West Coast, and he's a pretty successful driver. I don't remember how many wins he had in the Southwest Tour or in the West Series, but he was pretty successful. Born on this day in 1978, former Truck Series regular. He has one career win at Mansfield Motorsports Park in Ohio. I didn't look up the year, but I think it was around 2007, 2008, thereabouts. Mr. Donny Leah. He's a modified ace, did really, really good on short tracks, and ended up picking up a win that day, an exciting finish. And our third and final birthday for today that we do have some cards for, born on this day in 1961, so he's a birthday twin with Mr. Inglebright. He is the son of a legendary short track racer and has one career Busch Series win to his credit. Mr. Ed Berrier. Now, Ed, we, again, talk about it a lot. We use the word journeyman, and that's what Ed was. Now, I think this is kind of funny with the 1991 and 1992 tracks. We talk about, like, ProSet was lazy, used some of the same images, and even Panini today uses the same images from year to year. But this is going a step further. They didn't use the same image, but literally almost the same shot of Ed Berrier from 91 to 92. Here he was driving for Sam Ard. This was a car number 33. I can't remember who the owner was, but literally they used the same shot for the same driver from one year to the next. There's a good picture of Ed with the black Max and the red Max. Then we have Grease Lightning was his sponsor for a few years. He drove a number 22 car. Had a pretty cool paint scheme. Grease Lightning, I think it was like a cleaner or a degreaser, or it may have been a WD-40. I can't remember what it was. It was some type of automotive / industrial product. And there's a 1994 Max of Ed Berrier. Let's look at the back of the card and there to give you a little bit more information about Ed. But Ed did win the 1998 Busch race at Hickory, driving a number 77 car with sponsorship from Lear and UAW. And it was owned by, the guy's last name was Moy, M-O-Y, and Jimmy Means. So that was the only time a Jimmy Means-owned car has went to victory lane in a NASCAR-sanctioned race. And I remember watching that race. I was in Illinois, spending some time with some family, and we put the race on because it was Easter weekend. It was on Saturday. I remember watching the race, and at Hickory they were having some kind of issues with either the satellite or electronics at the track or something. So for most of the race, they just had one camera, which was the stationary camera on the front stretch. So it would just sit there and just follow cars around, and it was pretty interesting, kind of like the old days of racing where you only had one or two cameras instead of having 15 or 20. But Ed Berrier did win that day, his only career win. I believe it was his only top 5 of that season, if I remember right, because that was a bit of an underfunded team, but short tracks and road courses at times can be great equalizers. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video today. That is it for birthdays and events and all of our videos for today. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We'll have something to rip. We'll have a Fast Packs and more birthdays to celebrate. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.